Hi, today we are doing this nail, the neon water wave nail, I guess I'm calling this. This was just the nail I had in my hand on my last video, and so many people asked about it. We are now doing a tutorial on it. Okay, but here's the craptastic thing about this nail. I was never really planning on doing a tutorial, and the two polishes I'm using are kind of hard to find. One you can get, but I think it's almost sold out. You can still buy the set, at least as I'm making this video, let's just say, at the time of the making of the video. So what I did was I came up with several different ways to get to the same nail, as well as some other fun discoveries like the really deep, richer ones there on the left. So I'm going to do the original nail that I did with the original polishes, because if you have them, great, go for it. But if you don't, I'm going to show you several other ways to get there. And there's going to be a more Korean gel polish way and an Amazon way. So the nail isn't necessarily difficult, but I'm going to show you a lot of different ways to get there. So these here are the two original nails, and you can see there's even some variety with just how you magnetize things. So let's get started with making the nail. Okay, our base coat for this nail, and I'm just doing this straight on a clear nail. It's the Soozza from the 93 series. What does that say? 3-09. So this is sort of the outlier in this little set of gels that has a mix of like glitters and things in it. The other gels do. This is the one that has the most color and is just like a straight up cat eye, as far as I can remember. This, at least right now, was almost sold out as an individual gel. The set's still available. So that's reason A that I'm going to go through different ways of doing this. And this was from Sweetie Nail Supply. So I'm just doing a nice good coat, and I just want a wide magnification on it just to give us a nice base to work on. And just take note of what essentially we are looking at with this gel. It's like a very clear translucent black with a blue cat eye on top, if you break down what that gel is. Okay, now for our second hard to find gel. It's Mayour Beads collection number 77. And this is essentially like a creamy kind of lavender color with a turquoise magnetic particle going on. And now for this top one, I'm going to do more of a curved wave design with the mag particles. So I'm going to first go in with my big magnet and then probably go in and fine tune it with my weak magnet, my favorite weak magnet. There we go. There she is. And so you just kind of do this until you like it. Now, I liked doing this pattern because I think it made it more interesting once we do the 3D sort of swirl designs on the top, because this sort of interferes with that and makes it more interesting looking. But I also did one where I just sort of did a more center or wide magnetization, and it looked great. It actually kind of had more of a watery effect to it. So, anything you do, it's going to look interesting. And here's just a little look-see of two different ones I've done, just with two different sort of swirl wave patterns going across them. Okay, after we do a full cure on that, I like to clean them off with rubbing alcohol, because Korean gels tend to have a much bigger inhibition layer left on them than some other gels. And I like to do that just to make sure the next layer isn't going to react funky to it. And so now basically we're just going to go in with a chrome resistant matte coat, and we are just doing an isolated chrome nail at this point. Cocoist has a good matte coat if you like them. I'm just going to use the cheapy one that I have, but also I think works great. It's the Gao powder resistant matte. I like to cure that for 60 seconds. This is what we have afterwards, and now we are going in to do our design. I am really liking this Zombie King high top coat. It's a non-wipe builder top coat. It's really weird stuff. It seems too runny in the jar, but it really behaves nicely with whatever you do with it, at least so far. I haven't used it in a long time, but I am going in. I hate this kind of nail art. I'm bad at it. So I'm always trying to find a brush or something that will help me. Like, what brush do I need with this? Yeah, and with what gel? So I'm using a super long one. I found that worked best for me. And what I like about this particular gel is you can glob it up on your brush and you don't get that super long string that just won't separate from the pot, which I hate. And Half the time I'm wiping these off because I'm dumb, and like when I have one I like, I don't cure it and then move on. I kept doing multiple ones, and then inevitably like the third or fourth one I'd hate. So whatevs. So I'm just going in and kind of doing little swoops, but this stuff is really nice. You can get a really nice thin end to your swoop, which can be difficult sometimes without it getting the weird little like hot glue gun snotty string stuff happening across your nail where you don't want it. And you especially don't want it when you're doing an isolated chrome nail. I will say if you were taking a very, very long time to do all of this line work on the nail, or if you were in a warm room, you may want to spot cure it after one or two, because when I was taking way too long to do this and my room was getting warm, I had a couple where it was kind of starting to self-level a little, the ones I had done first. So just be aware of that. And can I just say, my camera was really giving me the attitude when I was filming this. Some days, every now and again, it just does this weird thing where it just doesn't want to focus on anything close up. Usually it needs an update, and I even checked that. So, it's a great mystery. Just didn't want to cooperate. Here we can kind of see, if you notice this looks a little different from the one I was originally doing, it's because I hated the last swoop I did on it, and I swiped it all off with rubbing alcohol. I firmly believe there's like two groups of people. One group, they are people who are really great at illustration and the sort of every line counts. You can have one line and you know exactly what, and it's precise and does everything it needs to do. And then there's another group of people that are scribblers, and you just put as many things down as you can and eventually it starts making sense. I'm a scribbler. I've never been good at cartoon kind of things. I have always been a scratchy, sketchy scribbler kind of person. So these kinds of nails are always hard for me. And there's always one direction that I can do a swoop and it always turns out really well. And then the other direction, it's a crapshoot. So what are you going to do? A little tip, though, if you've not done that kind of swirly thing before, you really want to load the main bead of the gel onto the tip of your brush so that that first thing you're laying down, that's that main bead, and then you're just swiping through with the rest of it to get the nice taper. Okay, once you're happy with that, this is very important. Only cure that for 30 seconds. Normally, I would do 60 seconds if we were just using it as a top coat. Okay, now for the fun part, we're going in with the Bonniebee Satin Chrome, the Aloha Blue. Now, if you accidentally cured your zombie coat for 60 seconds, what you're going to find is it's not really going to stick to the high points on your swoops. You'll still get some chrome, but the really bulbous parts, it's just going to stay clear. So now we just wipe our chrome on. And on this chrome, and I can't remember if it's more because of the super fine Bonniebee chrome, I don't buff this in at all. I treat this very delicately. And so once I get the chrome on there and rub it in, I'm kind of buffing it in with this makeup brush. But at that point, after that's done, I'm just going to gently brush it off with a very soft, sort of blush brush. Okay, and that is what I have before we top coat. And that just looks super cool too. This would probably look great as a matte nail as well. Occasionally, when you do a matte coat, it will flatten everything out. You won't get as much dimension. I haven't tried it, so I need to do another one and try that. Okay, now we just need to top coat. And on chrome nails, it's always a good idea, if you are using a nice one, to put that top coat out on a palette and use a separate brush so you don't ruin expensive top coat. If I was doing this on my nails, I would use the green zombie top coat. I'm really into all the zombie products right now. I know I was maybe a little late to the game on the green top coat. I think that had a big moment last year. I don't know. I remember seeing it everywhere. But I had my favorite top coat then, so it just took me a while to try it. But I do really like it. But because this is just a tutorial nail, I'm just going to use my cheap stuff. That way I'm not going through ungodly amounts of expensive top coats. And bam, there we go. There is our finished nail. We've got that nice swoop of the cat eye, kind of cutting through all of the other swoops. And you can see, I've done different designs, and you can pause it because one of my problems was trying to figure out the layout of the swirls I wanted to do and getting it to fit on the nail. So that is partially why I would end up basically erasing them when I had several on there because one of them I would just mess up and just didn't harmonize well to me. Okay, so now we have that. That's the original polish. Now let's quickly go over a lot of the random combinations you can use to also get pretty much the exact same look or similar. Let's say you have the Soozza, so you have the base one, but you can't get the Mayour Beads. You could swap that out for the double rhythm. It's an Amazon brand, the MC 1130. I think you can buy that individually, but it also comes in a little 6-piece set, and basically all of the gels in that set are really nice. And there's a slightly more intense one up from it in that same set. That's MC 1131. And that just has a darker purple and more of a blue magnetic particle instead of the pale teal. So that will just get you a slightly darker feeling nail and more intense purple on it. So we're just able to get slight shifts in the feel and the look of the nail by doing this kind of stuff. And you can see I'm just holding up the original next to some of these varieties, and there's really hardly any difference between them. And so one of those in there was the Soozza with the double rhythm. Another really great replacement for the Mayour Beads is the Meet You MGD04. And all of these will be in the description, and I will have the Amazon polishes and their own little Amazon listing, etc., just like I usually do, just so you know. And I do have coupon codes for Sweetie Nail Supply, which is Sparkle 10, if you are wanting to go in the Korean polish direction. Now, here is the swatch of that 04 of that Meet You Mag Gel, just so you can see the similarity. And that one right on the top of it, the blue, that is the Soozza. Okay, and one last way to recreate this with none of the original gels, but using all Korean gels, is to use Aurora Queen from the Aurora collection, number 259. And that is going to get you a deeper base. So we are starting to tread into that richer nail territory. This one I'm holding up right now. And another great sub for this is 2 of the Rosy Hips Quartz collection, the number 14 and 16. And you can pair those with either the By Muse 06 tint. That will get you that teal kind of shade going. And this is the Aurora Queen 259. That's going to get you that deeper purple base. So any of the combination of these 4, you can either leave out the Aurora Queen, you can just start with that tint, and then just layer the Rosy Hip colors on. So really, I hope you just see the theme here. You need a more teal blue, deeper background color, and then you layer a more lavender and pale teal mag particle polish on the top of that. So anything that will get you that combo is going to pretty much get you in this arena. And now lastly, I am going to just quickly show shots of me actually making the Amazon version, because this is a pretty dead ringer for the original nail. That was the Amazon nail I just showed you. So to mimic the Soozza, you just need, now I know this isn't an Amazon polish, this is EJ, but Born Pretty or Double Rhythm, any sort of very pale, meaning very see-through, very jelly translucent, a thin coat of a translucent jelly black. And then you just go in with my old standby, the Gao 3331, for the mag gel layer. Now that pretty much gets you the Soozza color. Next, you are going to go in either with the double rhythms I mentioned earlier, either the paler one or the deeper purple one, depending on if you want a richer look or not. And that pretty much equals the Mayour polish. You go in, you use your Gao powder resist matte, and then you can go in with this other super cool find I found on Amazon, this set of stick chromes. Now, I don't know if these are always available on Amazon, but they are right now, and they were when I bought them, so that's a good sign. But this is the one you want to use from it. So you're not getting a lot of chrome in each one of these, but it comes with a little silicone finger thing, and when it primes the chrome powder onto the silicone nub. So there's a little spring action in there. So every time you close that, it's putting more chrome onto the little nubbins. And so that is the whole set. So it is, I think it's I mean, it's like 17 or 20 bucks for the set. It is the MS09 color that is pretty much exactly mimics the Bonniebee Aloha Blue chrome. And we are now looking at the Amazon dupe along with the 2 original nails I made. And you tell me which one's which. I bet you can't. Nah. I'm getting tired. Can you tell? All right, real quick, I'm just going to show each little step. There's the base coat. Now I'm magnetizing the Gao 3331 on top of that. Now I'm going to go in with the double rhythm, the paler one. We magnetize it in our little swoop. We're going to do our powder resistant matte coat. And then for the 3D swoopy waves, we can use the Mitzi 3D sculpted nail gel. Not going to lie, hated using this. This does exactly what I was saying that the Zombie King High top coat doesn't do. This stuff is way, way, way too thick for me personally. I don't enjoy using it, trying to do this type of 3D swoopy line work. And you get all of the little sort of hot glue trailers with it that want to stick all to the wrong places in the nail, etc. But if you have to use this, then you know, you can use that. Maybe you like using it. I personally just don't like it. So basically hated it. Let's get to the fun part. There's our cool little weird chrome contraption. I'm kind of a gadget freak. I like stuff like this. So yeah, it can almost get too much powder on the little nubbin. Like, don't waste the chrome, man. And voila, there's our finished dupe. Now, if you want to do some of these that look much darker and richer toned, I'm just swapping out some of the base coats. Real quickly, some good ones are the Born Pretty Blueberry, the My 297, the Born Pretty 298 from the cool little set called Times. It's a little cat eye set. And the Born Pretty 287 from the Shimmer Aurora set also makes a good deeper base for the nail. And then you can just use the darker double rhythm one from that set. And that's going to get you these deeper toned nails that I just showed. Oh my God. Okay, we are done. Look, there's all the cool stiletto ones. Here we are again, a video that was way too long. This should have just been a simple nail tutorial, but everyone wanted to know how to do the nail that basically the polishes are hardly available to use unless you already own them. So, did I need to show you all these variations? Probably not. But did I? Yes, I did. Sometimes I just can't help myself. So, there you go. All sorts of combos, but maybe, now you know how to get there. You can see alternates and sort of the theory behind why different ones will work. So, there's our neon water wave nail, and you are most definitely an intergalactic nail nerd if you stayed this long.